life I could have known, one beyond my wildest dreams. Maybe that road could have carried me to streets of gold, but things aren't always as they seem. Looking back on all the chances that I missed, some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist, I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known, that would have kept me from the one I had today. Except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known, that would have kept me from the one I had today. Everywhere I could have ended up just like that broken road, with a dead end in my path. Thank the Lord that I've got more than that. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I won't forget the lessons that I don't deserve.
Good morning. This is 1100 WSGI. I'm U-Turn Laverne. And this is One Street Over, a little thing we do every weekday morning, 7 to 8 a.m. This is an opportunity for us to say, hey, what's going on? One street over from where you're hanging out. Do you know what's happening with your neighbors? Do you know, and that's, I just think when we first started doing this show, I would talk about the meaning of that song a lot. But if you have not been a part of what we're doing here and you're new to this, that was very intentional. That song is an original by Ridgetop Ramblers, friends of mine. And when I first heard it, I had in my mind that I might do something on radio again. I had retired from it, but I thought, I might do a podcast sometime. And so I thought, boy, that'd be a great song for a podcast. And so finally we were able to do it. And it's just so meaningful, because what we do is we want to know what's happening in our neighborhood, and somebody that helps me do that and help me kind of stay connected is Danavyn Hylton. Danavyn Hylton's in the house. How you doing?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, U-Turn.
Good morning. And if you're watching the WSGI, and I know I'm out of the shot on WSGI because we've got a guest coming in and the camera's been just wonky for WSGI, so I've got it set so we'll be sure and get beautiful Damita Utley in whenever she comes in here, and so I've got it set so you get them and not me. But and that's on the WSGI page. If you're watching mine, you get the usual hi y'all. But we appreciate you joining us today, and it's always fun when you're in, because I really never know what you're going to bring to the table, and you'll give me a teaser sometime the day before, like you told me about Damita coming in. And she'll be joining us at 7:30. But the rest of it, I'm kind of going, what you got? What are you bringing to us today?
Well, good morning, you turn.
Good morning.
It's bright and early.
Yes, and he got here before me today.
Well,
which kind of surprised me, but because but anyway, I was thrilled to see you in here early. But
I appreciate the opportunity. And,
absolutely.
There's a few things that's actually on my mind before 7:30.
Okay, before Damita gets in here.
One of those things is actually this month is our 2-year anniversary of us being on the show.
Oh.
And so I wanted to make sure we recognize that. I think last year I gave you a.
You gave me. I've still got it. It's in my office up at the church. Yeah, a little picture, a little kind of little memento. And people are. I'm not very good at keeping up with that stuff. I mean, my kid's 2 years anniversary came up, and my husband had to say, "Hey, did you know it's the kid's anniversary?" And I'm like, "Oh, really?" Because I'm not very good at keeping track of that kind of stuff. But that's very kind of you to bring that up. And it's. Man, time flies, doesn't it, my friend?
It does.
Man,
it does.
It's crazy. So, well, thank you for being a part of this.
More than welcome. And I just, for that reason, I wanted to make sure I was here on time. Another fun fact outside of that is I do have on the Straight Out of Waco t-shirt.
What is that?
So I just wanted to shout this out, Straight Out of Waco, Waco being the World Association Kickboxing Organization.
Oh.
And if you're familiar, last year we had Team USA Kickboxing come to Springfield. And so they are in Birmingham, Alabama right now as we speak.
Okay.
They're competing in the World Games. So everyone from around the country is in Alabama.
Okay.
And just wanted to they actually start competition today. And so just wanted to make sure we shouted them out. And I know they have showed a lot of love to Robertson County.
Okay.
And worked with the chamber as well. So.
Well, I was looking at some of the pictures of the guys that came in to promote that, and I thought, man, we got to revisit with them. They were fun.
Absolutely.
And remind me their names. Do you have their names?
Otis Carter IV and Robert Savage.
They were awesome.
Yes.
They were so much fun, and I would love to have them back on. And I think Ilyu is going to come in and fix our camera. We've got another guest coming in a minute, Ilyu, so I want to make sure we get both of them. So if you want to fix it a little bit. Okay. There you go. That looks good. That looks good.
Sir. Thank
you, my friend. He's fixing it for me. Thank you, Ilyu. And Ilyu Maldonado, the president of Ebenezer Broadcasting, he's taking care of it for us. And anyway, but we got it all fixed up. Anyhow, where were we?
But we definitely want to get our friends Robert Savage and Otis Carter on the show when we can. They always send their best. And so we just wanted to make sure we shouted out Team USA Kickboxing as well. And I wanted to congratulate you on your grandchild, new grandchild that was
number three. So
brought into the family. So how's that process been, if you don't mind me asking?
It's been wonderful because it's so funny. We're kind of getting to be old hat at this because this is our third one, and the oldest is going to be 6 at the end of this month, and then there's a 2-year-old little girl. So the oldest is a boy, Rowan. And again, he's about to be 6. Anderson, the little girl, just turned 2. And now we have Miller, the newborn. And what's very interesting is when Rowan was born, it was the first grandchild, both sides of the family, first baby in a while. And so everybody just lost their mind. And it was just like, ah! And then when Sis came along, it was right in the middle of COVID.
I see.
And I didn't get to hold my granddaughter for a while because of COVID. And the only way that the recommendations were that if you were around a newborn, you had to be somebody that was isolated. Because at that time, it was right in the heat of it. Wow. And I also had 2 weddings going on. I had 2 kids getting married. It was just chaos when she was born. And so when I finally got to hold, everybody had to hold her with masks and gloves, and it was just, it was crazy times. And so it was just such a weird dynamic when you look at that. And then you come in and you look at where we are now, because now, and there's still my little grandson, there's a picture of him with a mask on just because he had like the sniffles and stuff, but, and so that was the reason for that. But the 2-year-old, she's just like, baby, and she just can't keep her hands off of him. Wow. And they're having so much fun with it. And since you mentioned that, so since we have it's just changed the dynamic completely, and it's absolutely hysterical because she just cannot keep her hands to herself. And so she's wanting to hold the baby all the time. And she's 2. She just turned 2 in May. So here's my daughter-in-law. She's so funny. she put up something on social media the other day, and she says, things I've said too many times lately. Okay, these are things she said too many times lately. Don't poke your brother in the eye. You can't hold him if you spit on him. Stop yelling at him. Be gentle. Don't squeeze his head. Stop pulling his ears. Don't lick his face. So it just makes me, but that when you've got a 2-year-old with a newborn, that's what happens.
All I can think of is memories.
Yeah, it's fabulous. It's fabulous. But yes, we're having a fabulous time. So much fun. And so yeah, it's all good. I highly recommend grandkids. It's so much fun. Of course, you have to get old to get them, but that's all right. So
speaking of grandkids, our children are with their grandparents in California right now.
Oh, really? And so you left the boys in Cali?
Yes.
Oh.
So they'll be there until the beginning of August, right before school.
So you guys got a month of just you guys. Well, man, that's like when you first got married. Goodness. Well, enjoy your free time.
Don't mind if we do.
There you go. That's awesome. That is awesome. Y'all got some plans? Maybe going to do a little trip on your own?
We definitely have plans. We're always invited to all kind of activities.
Sure.
So we went to an activity last night, and in between, we're going to find just additional things to do and just enjoy our moments as best we can, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
And it's a lot quieter on the house, though.
I bet.
I had to take out the trash a lot less. So
that's hysterical. That is so funny.
So shout out to the boys. We love you.
Yeah.
And again, shout out to grandparents. We appreciate all you do. So
yeah, absolutely. That's fun. So they're out in Cali, man. They're gonna. Oh, it's so beautiful. What part of California?
So they're in the greater Los Angeles area.
Whoa. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
So, that's like a culture shock.
Well, and they go every year. So, like you said, respectfully, so during the times of COVID, when they went, based upon the different, regulations, when they come back, they always had their mask on and going through that process. And so it's just very unique to see, especially during those times, just how different states are ran and, just a very unique time,
So are they still masked in California?
As of right now, no.
I didn't think so, because I just came through there when we flew in from Mexico.
Even on the airline, so it's all,
we didn't have to wear a mask on flights or anything.
Those are things I remember, though, those processes in those times, so...
Well, I thought maybe in some counties they might still be. I didn't know about Los Angeles. I thought if any are, then Los Angeles would be one. Mm-hmm. but I wasn't sure. But gotcha. I just knew we didn't have to in the airport. But very cool.
Yes.
Well, boys, behave yourselves. Be good to Grandma and Grandpa, and we'll see when you get back and get ready for school. That's what's so funny is we're on the cusp of getting ready to start school, and I'm going to be a teacher. I am a teacher. I've already signed my contract. I'm a teacher. That just blows my mind. I went into my classroom the other day to kind of get, kind of look around and all that, and it's just it's mind blowing. It's exciting. So
I think you great. You connect great with people.
Well, thank you.
Especially with our next generation. So it's going to be exciting to see. And whatever I can do to help or resources I have, just let me know.
Okay.
Definitely have you
back. Well, you've got it, and I appreciate that. And we'll probably have you come in maybe and talk to the kiddos, because you do a lot in the media. Because I'm teaching audio video, and I was telling Dr. Kazi, I said it was so funny. He was in here on yesterday, and I said when they approached me about teaching an audio video class, my mind completely flipped back to the 60s and 70s with the overhead projector and pushing it down the hall and be like, hi, I'm your audio video teacher. And, that little thing. But that's not what it is at all. But that's where my 60s and 70s mind goes to. And but what we're talking about is what I've done through my career, and that's working with video and, well, mostly audio, but I've done video as well, but video and audio production and that experience.
I want to ask you how different is the technology from maybe those times to today, and do you have to do any training yourself just to make sure
good question.
You're up to date with everything?
Oh yes, constantly. And what is so cool about this and why I'm so excited is because I love technology. I don't have a whole lot of time to sit and devour it and study it. And so now I have to. And so I'm thrilled. I found out from Dr. Osborne yesterday, our principal at Greenbrier, that the lab we're going to be using is going to be a Mac lab. That's huge because that's Macintosh, and that's my preferred operating system when it comes, especially the people who I have worked with primarily in media, especially video production. Mac is where they go to Mac, and gotcha. for the most part. Now that's not to say they're Microsoft PC in here, but when it comes to video production, Mac is so easy, and it's just a real quick way to get kids acclimated. Now, iMovie is so simple to use, but you can get deeper into it with deeper programs and things like that, and do all kinds of fun stuff. But it's user friendly is my thing, and I tell everybody, the simplicity of audio and video production now is in your pocket.
Absolutely.
Cameras, what you have on your phone right now, if you've got one of the later model phones, is phenomenal. You could literally produce a film on your phone, and I'm not kidding. And I'm speaking to iPhone. I don't know much about the other phones, but and do a pretty good job. There's microphones you can plug in. As a matter of fact, we're going to have, if she doesn't have that baby between now and Saturday, Jessica Drake with the Sheriff's Department, they're due in here this coming Monday. And again, she's about to have a baby just any day. And so prayers for just wonderful things for you, Jess. But she went and produced a little safety video that you'll see out there about bus safety and not passing a bus. And I mean, that's even on a 4-lane, all of that kind of thing. And that, from my understanding, because my husband was there, because he's part of the transportation department now, and my understanding is, I think she did all of that on a phone, if I'm not mistaken. She did, but she had like a plug-in mic, and we've done some of that stuff at church. Now we have other production equipment, and when I was at the Blaze, I mean, we have just crazy expensive stuff. But what you can do on phones now, just really in the last few years even, is incredible. And so anybody that wants to, you see that, if anybody who wants to broadcast, you can do it. It's in your pocket.
It's in your pocket.
It's in your pocket, so and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. But yes, it has changed dramatically from when I started.
So much is on my mind, you turn with our conversation. And I don't want to get offhand, but you made a very powerful statement as far as the simplicity of film in your pocket now. Very, 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 just important to know. And so if we had time, there was a small presentation I wanted to give, and it's biblical based, on emotional intelligence and how it's very important, especially with us having film in our pockets and with all of us wanting to respect privacy, and how does that work? How does that look?
Okay, so you want to do that now? Can you do it in 15 minutes?
You know what? Let's see.
Because I can do a commercial and come back, and you can have the floor. Because you always have me talking too much. You keep asking me questions, and I want you to talk.
No, it's good to connect with you. We don't get a chance to do it often.
I know,
but one thing also before we go to commercial, I wanted to make sure we shouted out was Dominic and Denise from the last show, and I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Yeah. And so hopefully I have time to get into the presentation, and I may segue it with Miss Damita when she gets in, because it's right aligned with what she's saying. Okay. But that's a very important statement, and just my past experiences the last few months is very important that we are aware of our emotions and how to communicate. And
well, why don't we get into that as we come back? Let me do a break. And Dominic Key is saying hi, Dominic. And that was, morning. I can just very quickly say, if you missed the show last week, you can go to the WSGI app and you can pull it up very easily. If you hit the TV button, you can see it, and it works really well. It's phenomenal what they've done here at Ebenezer, how they've put things together and just archived everything. So you can go and check out the show that Dominic and what was the woman's Denise, Dominic and Denise came in and did. It's a powerful story of forgiveness, redemption, just extraordinary. So we'll just tease that with that and say it moved me greatly and did many people. So go and watch that. But let's go ahead and pause, and let's start with Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. My friends, if you're looking for any help in real estate, they're your go-to person. I mean, they're a team, and they're part of the Exit Realty team, which is just vast. And if you're wanting to get involved in anything with real estate, that's your go-to. That is the place to be, because, quite frankly, they are. When it comes to if you're selling property, how many teams have a marketer on it to where you're going to make sure that everybody knows about your property and you're going to get top dollar? That's such a unique thing with Barry. He was the vice president of a marketing company in Nashville for many years, went full-time with real estate, and just they're so busy he had to give up beekeeping, and that's huge because his family's been beekeepers for many, 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 many years. But he got so busy that they just can't do it anymore. And when you hear somebody's that busy in the real estate market, that means they're good. And he is also part of a team with with Rebecca that's been at this for so long that she's one of the first in the area to be a senior real estate specialist, which illustrates how much she studies to stay up to date on the latest trends and the latest regulations that you need to make sure that you're properly represented when you come to the realty table. Well, if you want to connect with them, the best way to do it is at sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or you can go to buy.robertsoncounty.com, and you will see that they specialize in Robertson County products, but they also are properties, but they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line up in Kentucky. They're my friends, great realtors, Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. When you contact them, always please tell them that U-Turn sent you. And again, we are here with 1100 WSGI. This is one street over. I'm U-Turn. This is Danavyn. And we get together once a month just to see what's going on in the community. And he is great at updating. And as he brought to the table today, it's our 2-year anniversary. And I love that. And time flies. My goodness. 2 years ago, I was 57, about to be 58. Now I'm 59, about to be 60. I'm just like, that 60 is looming. In December, I turned 60, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of crazy. But it's all good. It's all good. Wow. But I can imagine the kids, when I get to high school, they're going to be like, you're old. I'm like, yes, I am. But that's okay. Okay. So talk to me about what you were saying about the
emotional intelligence. And absolutely. And again, from a biblical perspective, we're going to go into Proverbs 16:32.
Okay.
And it's funny because I wanted to talk about Proverbs after I read the verse, as far as its background. But whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. I'm sure. Have you heard of that verse before?
Oh yeah. Okay. I'm pulling it up right now, but it's one of those. You hear this, and in all honesty, I've heard that message. I don't know if I've read pretty much most of the Bible. I'm not one of those that have, I'm reading this day to day because I have such attention issues. So, have I ever specifically meditated on that verse? I don't know, but that message, yes.
Oh, gotcha.
Because it's just like anything in the Bible, you find it threaded throughout. You find those messages threaded throughout. But that particular verse, so absolutely, I love the message. So go ahead and expound on that for us.
Thank you. And this actually may be a great segue for Miss Damita when she comes in, because we're going to be talking about stopping youth violence within Robertson County. And so I'll read that again. And this is from the English Standard Version.
Okay.
Whoever is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who takes a city. How I took it from my perspective is we're talking about emotions on the first half, first and foremost. So you're being aware that one is angry. So does one know when they get angry and what those limits are to get to a point of anger? And also, what are some of the results that come from you personally or me personally getting angry? And is that something that we want to follow, especially when we're coming from a representing the kingdom in Christ, first and foremost? And then it kind of gives some examples as far as he who rules his spirit is mightier, if you will, than one who takes a city. And when I say take a city, for me, it's not necessarily conquering a city, but for me, it's actually production and going after something, especially from a male's perspective, and when we're producing and we're out just trying our best to be who we are and what God made us to be, you know. But in that, as in our works, if you will, he who rules his spirit, and so I feel like that's something that we have to get in touch and know thyself, which is another verse that we can get into. And this is pretty much a perspective that I felt was important, especially when we were talking about emotions. And I wanted to talk about what the definition of for emotional intelligence. I do have the sources as well, and they're not from Wikipedia.
Go for it. Good for you.
One thing I learned in U-Turn, any questions, and hopefully I'm not off on this, but just going through my day, especially traveling and talking with so many people in business and community and government relations, there's so many perspectives. And a lot of times I'm glad that my friends were friends. They may not know each other, but I'm glad some of my friends don't know each other based upon some of the statements that are made and what I hear and what we see. So I just wanted to, especially as we go through the rest of the year, are just aware, of our emotions and being aware that if anything were to go even to the extreme, someone can pull out a phone and really get into your privacy? How do you even handle that? You know, so these are just things that, that popped up. And so hopefully I'm not off, but I just wanted to make sure, we focused on that. And so
I like where you're going. Let's go.
You.
Okay.
So emotional intelligence, as far as the definition, now this is coming from the helpguide.org, dealing with mental health and emotional intelligence. And I'll put the link up. But emotional intelligence, otherwise known as EQ, is the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotions in positive ways to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict. And that's just where we need to be. That's where I need to be, especially if we're looking to move forward as a unit.
Amen.
I mean, that's just, there's some extremes, do not. But again, how can we at least try to decrease the risk of going to a point that's not kingdom led, first of all? And if we can keep it within that, usually all things work for good, is what they say. So any questions for me, U-turn? So
I'm just wanting amen. And I'm listening to a series right now from Bobby Davis up in Cookeville, where he's speaking speaking along these same lines. And there's one place where he talks about and I wish I could pull the verse up, but I can't recall what it was, but it was basically a piece of scripture that talked about how that, yes, you have to stand up for the values of Jesus. You have to stand up for the values of what God has led us to, but in love. And so many people want to bring that victory all into something. It's like, well, you're wrong. That's not how you share with people what's going on. You and I have talked a couple of times about how that there's a promotion of this notion of, well, this is my truth, this is your truth, and there's no absolute truth. Well, yes, there is absolute truth. God is absolutely God of the universe. Christ Jesus is his son, absolutely. And he died for your sins, and the Holy Spirit's absolutely here with you. And if you will let them guide you, you will live a different life. That is absolutely true. And if you don't believe that, I'm sorry, then we're just on a different page. And I'll just tell you that in love, because you're missing it if you don't see that in your life. And if we get that right, if we will stop focusing on the differences that we have from society and just share Jesus with people and just really connect with that and say, hey, here's the way, the truth, and the light. And just share that with them, because if you get that, I joke, I tell people, I'm going to get some Jesus on you. I hope so, because if I can get some Jesus on you, then that's a seed, and there's hope for anybody. And so that's why I just, as you're talking about this, it's so funny how somebody will bring something to the table and it's directly involved with something else I'm listening to or studying. And it's just God, just reinforcing it, going, yep, that's it. Stay in that focus. And all these other things that we want to get so, wound up over will fall into place if we just remember God is God, Jesus is his son, there's a helper, a comforter here with us. Get busy, connect with that, and it all comes together.
And you're reaffirming for me, what I went through as far as my study. So it's beautiful to see it working together. And there's so many things within your statement that we talked about that I just want to jump into as far as even getting Jesus in you. And a lot of times when, especially for young folks, walking, in Christ, sometimes you're not talking to somebody, they can just see you from the other side of the room. And being integral and being blameless, all those things communicate something, so even if we're talking or not, we can always show love, and show just Christ, if you will, so
I just love you so much. We're coming off of Father's Day, and I heard this lesson over and over and over and over about the statistics of what happens in your family. It's like what's the stats on if the children come to Christ, the entire family becoming Christians, and it's like 17%. And what happens if mom does? And I'm wanting to say in the 50s, something like that. If dad is the leadership in the home and he follows Christ, there's a 90% chance that the entire family will. Wow. I mean, that's huge.
That makes me think of the churches, with all due respect, that I attend, is really right now women dominated. You know, a lot of the men aren't there respectfully, including myself. So we all have to grow. But
that's something. That's a point that was made at Father's Day. It's like, dads, we need you. We need you. And everybody knows that I'm one of these that I feel that we've missed the mark on women's role in the church. And that's not to say that it should that women should be the boss of everything. No. I'm just saying that we're all equal in Christ. And so we've set aside women in regards to so many things because I think of some confusion over some of the ways we've translated stuff. I'm not going to get into that today, but there is an absolute God way that families are supposed to be led, and that is that's His perfect plan. Is through the fathers. I mean, that's just all there is to it, and that's what has just messed us up so much. And that's not to say that the dads and moms aren't equal, but there's a leadership role for the father that you gotta step up. You gotta step up, guys, and it will change everything. And your family is just so beautiful because you're doing it. And I just love you so much for it. Absolutely, I appreciate that. Absolutely.
And this is not even. This is another point that you made in your statement, going back into what I was saying, but you even went into just having that conversation and communicating and getting to know people. And the fun thing about within our 2 years together, we've had at least 12 guests on the show. And we're saying one street over. So we've done a great job communicating. I'm sure we've all had different perspectives. But, you know, when you're Christ-led, it all works itself out. And so it's so important. So in that, and just respectfully, I do want to shout out Sheriff Jessica Drake. And that process going smooth, and it just made me think of law enforcement and just the engagement on that side, you know, because first of all, with film, and there's been some state legislation passed in certain states, you know, with dealing with film. I don't want to know if we can get into it, but down to a certain feat, you know, where you can now film law enforcement, you know.
I have kind of checked out. Come on in, Damita.
Gotcha.
Come on in. But I don't pay a whole lot of attention to the news anymore, and so I missed. I'm gonna come on in here, and I'm gonna have to start paying more attention, I think, because especially since I'm gonna be stepping into that role. But I'll tell you what, let me go ahead. Y'all get settled, and I'm going to do a quick break while y'all get settled, and we're going to talk about Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. Miss Jane's birthday was 2 days ago. I said this is Miss Jane's birthday week, so just absolutely lift her up in prayer. She's had some health struggles, and we just love everything they do at Corbin. It's a great time to go out and just get something great. I've got to go and get a new jade plant. Okay, here's the story. My husband, he had an aunt that had this beautiful jade plant, and so he really wants one. So we went and got one, and we had it sitting on the nightstand. It wasn't getting enough light. I think he overwatered it. I'm not sure. We killed it. Okay, that's all there is to it. He killed it. He killed it, in all honesty. But now I've got a place. We've made a place that gets full sun, that we think it's going to thrive. So, okay, Amy, I'm going to be coming out to get a new jade plant. And I want to get one that's already big and beautiful, not one that we have to grow because we're not very good at it. But she helps me, and she forgives me for the plants that I kill, but she helps me so much. And again, I talk a lot about my lavender because it's looking beautiful. It's done so well. And she's helped guide me in that and showing me plants that are going to thrive in this area, that are hardy, so they're perennial, they're going to come back. That's so critical that if you're going to get a perennial, you want to make sure it's hardy to this zone. We've talked a lot about that. But all of this stuff, they'll school you on at Corbin Creek Greenhouse Gifts and Gardening Center. And they're also your Robertson County source for CBD. If you are interested in CBD and you think it might help you with your arthritis, it does me. I can't begin to tell you how much it does. My hip replacement doctor, Dr. Jeffrey Hodrick, up in Southern Joint Replacement in Nashville, recommended I get on CBD and was familiar with Corbin. So it was a perfect connection for me, and it has been a game changer with my arthritis problems. If you want to talk to them, go and see them. They're open 7 days a week right now. They're open. They're there from 9 to about 6:30. And as we get in, we will get through the summer, and it'll start getting dark earlier and things like that. They'll adjust the hours depending on the season they're in. Right now, they're there all the time. And you can see them at the Farmers Market, 4920 Highway 161. You can give them a call. 4920 Highway 161 is where they're located. The Farmers Market that they are always at on Saturdays is at the fairgrounds. Let me clarify that. But you can call them if you have questions. 615-384-3185, 615-384-3185. They're my friends. I always tell them, U-Turn sent you. And we have a beautiful guest that has joined us, Miss Damita Utley. And pull that microphone to you, my friend. And I'm just sitting here, but you got to get right on that. So you'll have to move your little notepad over and get right up on that microphone for me. How do we know each other? Because I've met you, haven't I?
I don't know. I guess I saw you somewhere.
Well, I know, but I just, I know you, and I was just trying with Donovan. I was like, have I had her on? Have you been on the show before?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, I'm so glad to meet you. So glad you're here.
That's awesome.
And so welcome. And I know somebody that knows you. I know, because I've heard your name or something. But anyway.
Well, that's great.
So, very good. well, welcome to One Street Over. And, okay, Donovan, you want to introduce what, kind of unpack for us why Miss Damita's here?
Yeah, so Miss Damita, good friend of mine. Excuse me, definitely a sister in Christ. Prayed together multiple times and just talked about, the well-being of the community of Robertson County, especially the youth. Does a lot of work behind the scenes in the community, especially with stopping violence with the youth. She has a great story. I see her half the time in Nashville at various community activities, building relationships and cross-promoting. So she has an event coming up dealing with youth and stopping the violence and having that conversation. I wanted to make sure we were aware of and get the word out. And as we do that, this is a great segue into right before we stopped into commercial, and you were saying you had checked out, from the news.
Of the news, I just don't even turn it on
anymore. And I wanted to respectfully at least finish the thought from Ms. Drake. Just thinking about law enforcement, because I deal with business, community, government relations, so I have to stay involved in a lot of perspectives and be aware. And so I believe just this emotional intelligence, conversation is good for all of us, so we can be more unified, even with working with law enforcement. What that looks like. And so definitely want to shout out our law enforcement and what they're doing and what the process they have to go through. And I think this is a great segue into stopping the youth violence and what that looks like, and using emotional intelligence in doing that. So before I give Miss Damita the floor, I just did want to finish the thoughts as far as the statement. Emotional intelligence, also known as EQ, is the ability to understand, use, and manage your own emotions in positive ways to relieve stress, communicate effectively, empathize with others, overcome challenges, and diffuse conflict. And I would love to get Miss Damita's thoughts on that as we talk about her event coming up. But I did have and I'll leave the information in the comments so we don't get too far off topic. I want to give Miss Damita the time, but going into things as far as the importance of emotions and going into specifically stress and how stress can make you feel, what stress does to you physically, as well as how stress makes you behave, which are all three different things. And I think I may be able to bring some of these points up as we give Miss Damita the floor and talk about her event. Damita, good morning. It's good to see you. Thank you for taking time out to join us. Much respect to your work.
I just give God praise for being here and able to speak to the community about the violence. Yeah. Well, in 2012, God gave me the ministry of Stop the Violence because I had a incident in my family with gun violence. So he gave me that. And so in 2021, he changed the name to Stop the Violence 615. And this time we're doing a youth awareness to let the children know the consequences of gun violence. And also of drug life and just violence as a whole. Because, the violence in the city right now, they are very young. They are 18 and under. So God dropped it in my heart to do something to get some information. So I've got a panel set up for July the 22nd at 6 o'clock at the Greater Faith Community Center on Central Avenue. And they are going to tell their story. A lot of them one guy did kill someone and did go to prison. He gonna tell the young children his story.
Would that be Dominic? Would that be Dominic?
All right. Yeah. We're all family.
Absolutely.
So Dominic is gonna come and tell his story, but also I've got a young man in a drug life. He's gonna come and tell him the consequences of using drugs. He was a 32-year user.
Wow.
And also, I was a user, and I'm 26 years clean.
Oh, so, praise God!
What I'm going to tell them when they get there is I'm going to tell them the pain that the gun violence caused for the family, and the consequences is not just for them; it hurts everybody. And so, it's a lot of things that children don't know. And I think if they get information at a young age, and as they grow, and maybe one day they'll be out in the world and one of their friends will be ready to do something. And maybe they can stop them by saying, years ago when I was young, I went to this meeting and they said, if you shoot this gun, you're going to get 15 years in the penitentiary. So if we can get the information and knowledge out at a young age, maybe as they grow, they'll carry that with them and they'll think twice about it because they'll know that their lives will be over with. And, just he was saying about the stress and things. I think a lot of children are stressed. And I think they're under a lot of pressure and they just acting out. And whatever they can find to get attention, that's what they're doing. So, I think as Stop the Violence founder, if I pay more attention to them and I get people to follow me, maybe we could change the situation and change the violence in the city. So that's my purpose. And I go out in the city a lot and pray in different areas. And the Lord told me that what it is a stronghold in the atmosphere. And so if we as men and women of God go out and pull down what Satan's trying to do, we could change this city and stop the violence in our youth. So
Amen. You just keep talking. I just want to say, yep. You just keep talking. Everything you said, I just echo. Yes, amen.
Because,
amen.
We are going to have to move, and we're going to have to move quickly. There's no more standing back saying we going. If we don't go now, we're going to lose just probably a whole generation.
Oh, I think we're in danger of losing a couple because, absolutely.
And I just truly believe that if we move now, quickly, when God gives the orders, I think God will turn the situation around and many children will live. But before God gave me the ministry in this city, we had 13 deaths from 2009 to 2021.
In this community?
Since I started marching, we've only had 3.
Oh, wow.
So I can say that God did what he said he was going to do, even if I had to go alone. God still blessed this community with less gun violence. We had a few robberies and stuff, but for anybody just get shot down in the street bad, we haven't had much of that, but 3. So God turned this city around real quick. And he did a great work in the neighborhood out here. It's not as much violence and stuff because he moved out a lot of things that was causing problems.
Right.
Through a man who guess he didn't know. But today, you can go out through Richard Street and drive, through Central and Patterson. Because
I'm through there all the time.
Yes. So I could thank God that he did something in the community for me being obedient. And I can see that today because he changed, and made it safe for the people to go in and out. So
that word that you said, obedient, because you had it, Holy Spirit. It's the Holy Spirit thing when you feel that stirring, and you can either silence the spirit or you can act on it, and being obedient to it. So what got this started? How did this start in you?
Well, what happened was in 2011, my son killed a boy.
Oh, wow. I'm so
sorry. And it broke my heart.
I'm sure.
Because they were friends. And that I got, and God gave it to me. And I asked the Lord why. And he said, why not? So as I had began to do this, my children were pretty, going in the world doing what grown men do. So it was hard for me, but I hung in there because I was thinking about my grandchildren. When your child can't get up and go out in the yard and play, that's a dangerous thing. So, I just had to do something, because I couldn't fix my situation. All I could do was pray about mine. But if I could get out and reach out and pull maybe somebody else where they mother won't have to feel what I feel. Because even though the son died, my son died too. You know what I'm saying? It's a 2-part being. Nobody lived, He went to heaven with God, which wasn't his turn, I can't say. But he went to a jungle for 10 years. And he had to fight and survive for his life. So what people don't realize and understand, the consequences is nobody wins. It's just a bad decision all the way around the board, and it's just hurt and pain. And, God brought me through, and I just know that if I continue to do what he asked me to do, I'll save somebody's child.
Amen.
And keep some woman from hurting like I did. So
Amen.
I just try to stay focused on the pain that I had to keep somebody else from going through what I went through.
How's your son now?
Well, he's still incarcerated, but he's fine. He's becoming a man. Things happen, But one thing that I would like to say this morning is if we don't love our children, the streets will. And what we have to do is we're going to do much more loving at home than what we're doing, because there's people out there who will give them everything that they need just to do what they ask. And that's what happened to my son. I didn't have the money or the finances to give them all the things that they wanted. So there were people who did. So I can say that I seen the world snatch mine, but I couldn't get them because I didn't have, the resources to pull them back. So I had to trust God and let it just go where it went. But, I just give God praise that everybody's still alive. But in spite of it all, we learned from it. But I just hope that they can become men that God want them to be so they can live the life that he set for them.
Amen. Amen.
It was hard.
What you just said, if we don't love our children, the street will, or at least they'll make them think they do. Yeah, it's not love. Yeah. Oh, it's not love. It's materialistic. It is absolutely the evil one that's taking possession and just saying, oh yeah, and just feeding that lie that he fed Eve from the fall, and just keep he's a liar, know, and boy, he'll make them think that oh yeah, I'm your answer. I'm your answer. God bless you for sharing your story.
But the consequences, they're not aware.
Yeah, amen.
And that's what I'm trying to do is let them know that the consequences is very big.
Do you share your story to the kiddos too and say, hey, I'm a mom that got her heart broke. Don't break your mom's heart. I mean, do you share that to them?
I haven't done. This is only the first time in this beginning that God have changed the ministry. At one time we were going out into the city pulling down strongholds. Now you want me to bring the city to me. And do what he did me to do with the panel or whatever. And so this is really the first event that I have had to speak out about my story on that end.
So how do people participate in this? I mean, what is your goal? Well, you're bringing kids in, and you're going to have a panel for them to hear from and to hear these stories, to hear life-changing stories, and hopefully keep them from going down those life changes that were not a good path. So you're talking about a panel, and you're going to bring kids in. What does that look like, and how can people participate?
All right. On July the 22nd at the 6 o'clock hour, I will be at the 824 Central, and they just bring their kids, and we're gonna give them hot dogs and let them sit down and mingle, and then we will give them the information that they need to go on further in life and to open their eyes and be aware of gun violence.
Absolutely.
So all I can do is put the flyers out. And go out in the neighborhood and hand them out, and just pray that parents bring their children so they can get the information they need that may save their child's life one day.
Absolutely, and just get the kiddos there. Like I said, you're going to feed them, so that'll be a draw. What day of the week is that on?
It's on a Friday.
It's on Friday. Perfect. So on Friday, that's coming up next Friday. Next Friday is what we're talking about. Next Friday, and tell them the address again where you're going to be.
824 Central.
824 Central. So next Friday night, and what time? 6 o'clock. Kids are going to get something to snack on, and then they're going to get to hear from some amazing folks. Because knowing Dominic, I know he's going to be there, and just now knowing you and hearing your story and how profound it is, just those two stories along that I can witness, that I've heard, wow, just incredible to be able to have kids just hear. This is what happens when you take this path. Don't do it. And if you can, keep one kid from stepping that way, but I think you'll save way more than one.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. And I love it. And you need to get involved. How can people, if they wanted to reach out and help you with this, because I'm assuming there's cost involved and things like that. Do you have people that are helping you pay for flyers and things like that?
Well, when the event come up, God will send a donor.
Okay.
I don't actually have a group of people that I can say that's walking with me. I got followers on Facebook, but as I have went out into the city to pray, I've only had maybe one or two people. So the ministry has not been very big. It's more of like, as God said, we go. So my phone number is 629-200-9310.
Say it again.
629-200-9310. And I have a email. It's stoptheviolence615@gmail.com.
Okay, say that email one more time.
stoptheviolence615@gmail.com.
And my friend Terry Shrum is on here. She says, she's in tears hearing your story. She's just such a godly Christian woman. Just love you, Terry. And she says, tell her I love her. She says, for you. Tell her I love her, and I will pray for her and her son. Wow. Amen.
I appreciate
and that. So your story is so profound. How many kids do you have? How many kids?
I have 2 sons.
2 sons. I got 4 boys, and there's a handful, aren't they? Those boys, my goodness. He's 3 sons. We're boy.
That's right.
The boy parents here. We got boy mama, boy daddies in here. We don't, and I love that. So, and if you don't know, Donovan has 3 boys. Damita has
2 men.
two men, and I have 4. Mm-hmm. So that's what we do. That's what we do. But Damita Utley's my guest. Danavyn Hylton's my guest. If you have any questions for them in regards to her event that's happening next Friday night, Stop the Violence. This is a push to stop the violence in our community right here in Springfield. And I love your heart for this. And I love what you say about how we just walk around, we go and we pray over this place. And you can hear there's if we had time to kind of pull everything up, scriptures where that's how movements happen throughout the Bible. Elias and his servant, whenever they were being attacked and they're like, oh, we don't have any hope. And Elias said, open his eyes and show them those with us, outnumber those against us, to, God to open his servant's eyes. And that's what I see. I think about when you said there just maybe 1 or 2, I was thinking, that was Elias and his servant. It was just 1 or 2 of them out there, but those with them outnumbered those against them. Yes. So when you're out there, if it's just a couple of people, know that in the heavenlies, man, you have got the protection of the Almighty God, and oh my goodness, those with you outnumber greatly those against you. Right. And just praying too that they put that wall of fire protection around the children of Israel when they were rebuilding the temple, and I'll go down a rabbit hole here, but I love that prayer too of keeping that wall of fire protection around us, just like He did the children of Israel when they were rebuilding the temple. Just those are my prayers for you. Yeah. Absolutely, for that wall of fire protection to be around you and stoked big, and then just for you to remember those with you outnumber greatly those against you. So beautiful story. I need to do a break. We're about 10 minutes before the top of the hour, and we'll finish up with Damita Utley and Danavyn Hylton. And again, I just feel like I know you, Damita, for some reason. I've heard your name around town. Maybe it's just, as you said, you're out there doing stuff, and maybe if somebody said, you need to get Damita in here. Well, Danavyn got it done. So maybe that's what it is, but I'm just so glad you're here. We do need to pause for a second, and we're going to talk about the racetrack. Love my friends over at Veterans Motorplex. Jerry will tell you that if you've not been to a race in a while, it is just awesome. It is so much fun. I cannot say enough about it. I had an absolute blast. My husband and I went last month, and I've spent a lot of times at racetracks because doing radio for as many years as I've had, we've done a lot of promotional stuff at the track up in Nashville, and I had been at Highland Rim before, but I would do events. We would do events and be like, oh, hey, come do this, and we give out prizes or something, and then I'd leave. Well, so I never really sat and watched a race until last month. And as I sit there and watch those cars go flying around that track, it was so exciting. And we ended up setting up in an area where there was a local favorite, and I can't recall his name right now, but they were all there to support him. And so, when he hit that track, it was just fun. It was just so much fun. And so, if you want to do something different, it's right here. It's the old Highland Room. It's Veteran Motorplex, and they're in their season right now. They will go through November, and they have racing every Saturday night. It starts at 6:00. Now they open the gates at 4. If you want to get there early, they got a great concession stand. Absolutely fabulous concession stand. Everything that you would want at the racetrack, hot dogs, hamburgers, and all those things, and all the fixings. And you're going to have fun. You're going to have fun. And here's the deal. If you want to go to the races, they're going to give away, we can give away up to about 4 packs of tickets a week. So if you want to go to the races for free, and this is a $40 value, if you were to go to the gate on Saturday and not win tickets, then you pay $40 and you can get in 6 kids and 2 adults. And that's an amazing deal. But if you would like to do that for free, well, just message me in the comments. Just leave me a message and say, hey, I want to go to the races, or you can text me after the show at 615-594-7736, 615-594-7736. And just text me, hey, I want to go to the races, and we'll hook you up, and you can go and enjoy the races at Veterans Motorplex. Again, qualifying starts at 4:30, gates open at 4, but the racing starts at 6 p.m. It is a great time. You're going to have fun. It's at 3183 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. My friends, you're going to have some fun at Veterans Motorplex, and tell them U-Turn sent you. All right, getting back into the show. We got about 10 minutes, about 8 minutes here that we want to make sure and wrap all this up. Anything you want to chime in here, Danavyn?
Yes, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Can you give them your Facebook page as well, where they can find you?
Yes, it's just Stop the Violence 615 on Facebook, and I also have Damita Utley's Facebook page.
Okay, Stop the Violence 615. So easy, our area code. Stop the Violence. And for all you newbies, yes, 615 is our area code. I know y'all bringing in we got all kinds of area codes now, but 615 is the original, just like 384 and 382 are our original, numbers. But that's just a little inside Robertson County. But 615, Stop the Violence 615. Stop the Violence 615. So if they Google that, they're gonna come to you.
Yes.
And you called her Mrs. D?
Yes.
I like that. Hey, Mrs. D. I love it. I love it. But that's great. That's great. So what are we missing here that we haven't covered, you guys? Where else do we need to go? Have you got anything else you want to share specifically?
I really want also to let the people in the community know that I'm a 26-year recovered addict. Mm-hmm. And we got a lot of children today that's on drugs at a very young age. Mm-hmm. And so I was just really trying to let the community know that, I've lived through the violence as well, gun violence as well as drug life. Mm-hmm. So, if there's anyone out there who has a child or anybody who's struggling with drug addiction, I have numbers and I have people that I can contact and try to get them some help. But, I have a lot in my life that I have lived through that God has wanted me to reach out to help others to find their way. So, if there's anybody, children or anybody struggling with drugs and want to try to get themselves better, there's numbers and people that I know.
Absolutely.
That can,
well, see, and I think too the fact that you're talking about the kids, because we know I work with Celebrate Recovery, and so we have a lot of things for adults. But what about kids?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they get high too.
You bet they do. I mean, ain't that the truth?
And then they sell those little things in the store.
Oh my goodness, that's one of
puffers.
the. Well, it's the vape pens.
The vape pens.
Yeah, see, and
THC.
I was talking to Dr. Causey about that, our director of schools, just yesterday, and I'm going to be a teacher full time in the fall. I'm starting to teach, and so I've been warned by all the teachers, vaping is just the biggest problem ever, and they're not just vaping just normal stuff. It's full of pot. I mean, it's full of THC. It's what it's got in it.
Yes.
And it absolutely is just one of the biggest problems we're dealing with right now with kiddos. So you need programs for kids to get off this stuff. And it's just amazing how young it's starting now.
Well, I experienced with my granddaughter. I had a granddaughter that really got into a lot of things that wasn't of what she needed, and she ended up in the girls' home. So their children are going the wrong direction because we're not actually seeing what they're telling us. They're telling you, and I could see some things today that she was trying to show me, but I didn't see it because I wasn't aware of the things that young kids do. You know what I'm saying? So I would like to put out today that parents pay more attention to what your children are saying, because a lot of times it don't sound right to us because we so old school, but we got to find out, really their language. We got to come humble ourselves down like a child so we can be on their level. We can't stay an adult. We got to be an adult to make them obey. But when you see them struggling, what she done is she pulled back and she stayed by herself. And then she, if you say something to her, she would act out. I just thought she was being mean. But at the end of the day, she was crying out for help because she was getting into some things that, and then she was hurt from her father and better. Children have got a lot going on today. They're so stressed out at such a young age. When I was 13, I wasn't stressed out. I just get a bunch of whoopings, what I'm saying? But children, I see a lot of them, and I've been working with children for many years. I used to do day camp and a lot of things, but children are very depressed, stressed today, very, because things are so expensive and everybody don't have the money and stuff, and then they turn to whatever it is that they can do to satisfy that void, but the void is Jesus.
Oh, man.
Before I leave here, I need to say that. The answer to our problem is Jesus.
Amen.
And if everybody would turn more to the Lord than the world, God would turn this thing around. But He ain't going to turn it around with your back to Him.
Amen.
So we got to turn around and face the King.
I love you.
It's time to talk to the King.
I love you, sister.
So the King can turn this thing around in this world and in this community.
Amen.
Because sin is overtaking us, and if Jesus can't die in vain, And I'm gonna tell you what God put on my heart. It's time to come to the King.
Amen.
And that's what He told me to say. So
straighten your crown. You're a child of the King.
Straighten your crown and come to the King. And the King can fix this.
Yeah. Amen.
In
Amen.
a blink of an eye.
I love it.
It's nothing he said now. Nothing that I cannot do. He said, come to me, and I'll fix everything.
Amen. Amen. And that's the thing, this is, you're so cute. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. And this is something kind of circles back to what we were talking about when we first started. As I said, we hear in society all the time, this is my truth. This is your truth. It's like, no, there is the truth. And what you just said is the truth. And that's all there is to it. The truth will
change everything.
You better believe it. And you got to be on that microphone or I can't hear you. You got to come on in. She sat back. She's like, I'm done. I'm done. So, what more can I say? Come to the king. There you go.
That I can say that I know for a fact, and I'll put this out here. From the time that I hit that first crack rock to the first march, it was God. All God. I knew who he was, and but I can say he will transform. Yes, he will. It just takes time. You got to be patient, but God will fix everything that the enemy have done.
Amen.
It's not going to be overnight, but you got to do your part too. He can't do it all.
Amen.
And I'm here to testify that yes, I was a drug user. Yes, I've been in gun violence, but today I can see him changing all of it for them as well as for me.
Oh, my goodness. I love you.
It ain't been overnight.
We got to stay in touch, Damita. We got to stay in touch. We got some work to do. Tell them about your event again here in the last minute and what's happening and how they can participate.
All right. On July the 22nd at the 6 o'clock hour, me and my friends, Stop the Violence 615, will be at the Greater Faith Community Center for the children to come eat hot dogs. And I've got a panel of men and women that's going to tell them the raw facts about gun violence and drug life. True facts, not nothing that we read. These are all facts that we know are true. And bring them out and let them get some knowledge. And as they grow, they'll be able to know that if I do this, this could happen. But when they're going in blind, they end up in places that they didn't think they would be.
Amen.
So we're going to be there at the 6 o'clock hour. Bring your kids out and let them get some information that may save their life in 5 years.
You bet. And tell them the address again, one more time, where you'll be.
It's 824 Central Avenue in Springfield, Tennessee. The Greater Faith Community Building.
And if you'll put all this up in comments, I'm going to push it. I'm going to talk about it here in the next week or so. This is next Friday night, guys. Next Friday night, you need to be a part of this. Stop the Violence 615. Stop the Violence 615. Miss Damita Utley, Danavyn Hylton, thank you so much for being a part of our show today. This is 1100 WSGI, and we've got Sweet Lee Marie coming up with the Go Show in just a moment, so stay with it.